Good evening, Zimbabweans, or good evening, people. Again, 2030, Upper Watch, or 2030, the Geza thing. So, we've been anticipating that there was going to be some sort of a big protest, a big showdown with regards to Blessed Geza's signal that he announced so passionately to say that, hey, man, listen, the signal is now the 31st of March 2025. But if we were to go down back in history, there were so many signals. At some point we had a guy that is called Comrade Nyoka Mabono, for example, and he basically told us that the signal is not the signal as per se, but he made hints to say that Emerson Dambuza Mnangagwa is not going to last or endure before he out by February the 2nd, and it moved somehow to 26th February, and now it moved to the 1st of March, 10th of March, and now the 31st of March. So basically there has been many signals, many announcement dates, or when Emerson Mnangagwa is going to go out. And for those of you that are not familiar perhaps with social media, specifically X or Twitter, you might have come across an account that is called Chimama. Now, this account has been making a lot of flyers and a lot of noise, and this account is, and she basically showed a face, but this account is connected to the faction that Geza belongs to, or to the Chiwenga faction, or shows sympathetic views to those people. And this account seemingly was kind of like, is the account, or Chimama seemingly is impatient and wants action to take place now as soon as yesterday, right? So, but just moving forward now, was the signal really successful on the day, on the 31st of March? Was the signal successful? Now, a lot of people are quick to say that, yeah, it wasn't. And I think I believe them as well, and they've every right to say so. Like number one, people that didn't go out in the streets. Number two, Emerson Mnangagwa didn't really fail, he didn't really go out of power. And number three, even the lies that we have heard that some people had left the country, and a lot of things kind of like carried on as normal for the faction of ZANU PF that is pro Emerson Mnangagwa. On the other hand, though, there are those that could say that the signal was kind of like successful, because for the first time we saw a shutdown and police was all over and kind of not really trying to brutally crush the people. So there was a stay away, a national stay away from work and everything from within Zimbabwe. Now, here's the thing though. If you do your history and if you go back in history, one thing that you would know about history is that revolutions are not planned. Like revolutions, they do not have a deadline when they should take place. Revolutions, people do not say that we are going to do a demonstration on this day and we are going to topple this government on this particular day, because that government or that regime is loyalists. Like, if you are telling them where you are going to strike and when, obviously they are going to prep against that. They are trying to see what are you going to do, and they're trying to, perhaps they will prepare. So now it begs the question, was Blessed Geza's attempt on the 31st of March, what is this, was he really counting on Zimbabweans to successfully topple Mnangagwa? Was it a real signal? I don't think Geza and the faction that he's dealing with are stupid people and they're dumb. Here's the thing though. In intelligence, in any intelligence, it's best to strike when an enemy is unsuspecting. Perhaps this was their intelligence data gathering. I like to assume so, and I like to think so, that it was probably an intelligence data gathering from Blessed Geza, what they did on the 31st of March. Basically to assess how the Emerson Mnangagwa regime is going to react maybe to a call of a protest. Number two, it would also say that if the protest or the demonstration would give a perception to Emerson Mnangagwa loyalists that Blessed Geza perhaps does not have the power. Mdara ati Tendai TV mdara ati arikuya live na 2030 maybe akanzelwa nasa sikuziya nesuwo takamirira. We want to make assessments, but here's the thing. I think Blessed Geza here is, or the faction that is pro Blessed Geza is trying to look as if perhaps they are weak or the 31st has failed. I mean, giving a perception to Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa so that they can relax, they can think Geza is less of a threat, and just when they least expect it, they are boom, boom, they are hit. They are hit where they do not know. They hit where it hurts the most. Perhaps that is the whole main goal that the Geza faction is playing here, trying to relax the enemy, because there is no way you can tell your enemy when you are coming and how you are coming. You want your enemy to be comfortable, you want your enemy to least expect it where you are going to hit them. This is perhaps, and this is the only logical explanation that I can get from why the 31st of March or why Geza is making all of these announcements. Perhaps to keep the regime busy. But on the other hand, though, when we tend to examine the situation here from the Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa side, I mean, not the Emerson Dambudzo, could it be also that Geza is ill-informed about this revolution and he miscalculated big time about Zimbabweans' involvement? Involvement, whether they will be eager to join this revolution at any cost, even if it means the cost to their lives, or they wouldn't stay away. I mean, could Geza really could he have been that naive? I doubt so. I doubt so, and there is a good reason why to doubt so. I mean, obviously, these people are not stupid, they know what they are doing. But, particularly, here's the thing though, there are arguments that are online, and the issue every time when people are asked, and I've seen accounts like Opo Chumono. Mira mdaraja uya mira Tendai TV. Here's the thing, Mdara Geza kana akuyashita live. Mdara Geza, I think he wants to keep this perception of, like, I don't know, if he tells you that he's gonna come today, then he comes tomorrow, something like that. I think he wants to communicate, he wants to confuse the enemy or the regime or something of that particular sort. But here's the thing though that you guys are not understanding here, and this perhaps one thing that is very important with regards to Blessed Geza and the War 2030 mantra, right? It's that if you have, I mean, if you want to succeed in toppling Mnangagwa, you need to have a strategy that is gonna topple him, because Mnangagwa is not a pushover. Mnangagwa is expecting to be kicked out the same way that that Robert Mugabe has been. Mnangagwa is expecting to be kicked out the same way Robert Mugabe has been done. I mean, listen, if we could, I mean, let me try to play this clip. If I could go back to 2019 when Mnangagwa was in power, there was a press briefing. He actually said that, hey, listen, some of you within ZANU-PF, you think that you can just remove me from the power or from power by voting you the opposition in parliament. But I can simply write a letter recalling you out of parliament. So that could potentially show that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa didn't have trust as much in his ZANU-PF government or something of that particular sort. But yes, perhaps something that is quite important here. The people that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa is, they might not be in support of him. But anyways, let's see if I...
Garama katenga data, msawana action.
But this is an old...
Yatawa kutora about these criminals, about zvidananda izvi. Havana kunyanya kuwanda. Isu wa 16 million. Tochemedza navanhu vashomanana vakadai ava. Noda nokuti vadouraya naED. Tiri kusvika kuda ED. But tiri kutanga neivava. Mark my words. Tiri kutanga nhasi ndiri kutaura manzwi mashomani, because munokwanisa kuzoti comrade Bob zvavanongotaura ndati chimirirai muone action. Ndoda kuti muchikuona action chete muchanakirwa. Zvinotirwadza isu mhuri yeZimbabwe, especially isusu semacomrade.
But listen, here's the thing, I'm getting lost in the train of thoughts here. But I'm getting lost in what I was trying to address here. There is a lot of people that are shaming us for openly or maybe showing sympathy or maybe showing some sort of support or credibility to Geza. And they claim that Geza is a ZANU PF faction and that Geza is fighting ZANU PF battles. But here's something that is important here. We have had opposition leaders in Zimbabwe. We have been promising a new Zimbabwe since the beginning. And if you really want to lead a revolution, you gotta have a person that resonates with the people's message and a person that maybe even if they are lying, but they are trying to perhaps, I don't know, they're trying or they are trying to topple a regime. Their message resonates with what the people are feeling at the current moment right now. As of Nelson Chamisa, I love the verses. I mean, I love the Bible, but he's trying to bring politics into the Bible, and he is, I don't know, he's not a politician. He's not an opposition leader in the first place. So we can't be hanging on Chamisa if there is a chance that someone could potentially topple Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Remember, voting and support. You want to support where your investment would go far. So I think this is why a lot of people would tend to be sympathetic towards Geza, because in any revolution in history, whether it was Thomas Sankara, whether it was Patrice Lumumba, whether it was even people like Nelson Mandela, normally there is one person like it's unusual for an unled revolution to happen in history. There needs to be someone there that resonates with the people's message. I mean, you can look at perhaps the Russian Revolution, where Lenin became the center of the Bolsheviks. I mean, leading the Russian Revolution, there needs to be someone, not to say these individuals were all perfect, but there needs to be someone that is leading and resonating with the message of the people. And this is where our opposition leaders have failed us. And this is why we kind of like resort to speaking or to supporting the likes of Blessed Geza, for example, or to resonate with their message, or even at any cost that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa just need to go out. Because, I mean, look at the atrocities that these people have done, and they do not feel the need to account for anything. For example, they can arrest anyone. I mean, a criminal record in Zimbabwe to this day, like, you cannot trust either the judiciary of Zimbabwe to actually say that a guilty verdict actually sticks, because you can be guilty at any time and you can be thrown in jail at any time should the government actually feels that they can just discard you like that. I mean, should the government really feel that they don't like it, can just happen. So this is what we mean when we say that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, we want him gone at any cost. The system that he has, we want it gone at any cost. And some of us, some of the people have even said that it's, even if the chance is 0.0000001% that maybe Chiwenga could bring some change that is better than Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, at any cost, we want this individual gone. We could remove Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa and probably replace him with a donkey. We don't care. So this is what a lot of Zimbabweans are feeling at the moment. And opposition leaders that are existing in the current status quo do not have the capacity to speak a message that resonates with the people, but rather they go to funerals and they speak about this great new Zimbabwe. And for someone perhaps that was born in 2013, in 2023 that person turned what is this, 10 years old, and this year this person is turning perhaps, I don't know, 12 years old, and they've seen the bad Zimbabwe from 2013. And some people that are even born in 2000, some people born in 1990s, they've seen a bad Zimbabwe consistently, and they want change, and they want leaders that speak the change, not to show up at the time of elections such as other people have done. And this is for this is why we would feel much more this is why that we would be much desperate to call for Blessed Geza to be the, or Blessed Geza to lead this type of revolution, or to lead something into it. Another thing here, and another possibility here, is that Blessed Geza has also opened what I would call a can of worms. A can of worms for Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, or a political conversation among Zimbabweans. Even though you could say that 31st of March nothing happened, or even though Geza might not be here for the next future, or not be there, or whether this thing might go into silence, what it has done in this past few months, or in this past few months, is that it gave Zimbabweans a conversation, something Cheutaura about revolution, for Zimbabweans to think about their future past Mnangagwa. It gave them that possibility. It allowed for that conversation to happen. And if that conversation happen enough, I think it can now fuel the social anxiety and the social pressures that we have to actually come to the table and we agree that, hey, listen, man, I think we do need regime change in Zimbabwe. And this is particularly why the Blessed Geza thing is, I mean, this is why particularly I would say that Blessed Geza might have been successful. Now, I, I'll say it again. Let no man fool you. All that we are making here, or all that we make on this channel, is what I would call, in some, like, at best we would call them educated guesses. Something we guess, or we like, we imagine like what is happening. We know what I can say like that. To November, but based on what we are seeing, based on what is this analysis. Unlike some people that have actually opened YouTube channels, and a lot of people that have opened, that have been vlogging and doing all of these things, where they tell you that by the 27th of December, Mnangagwa will be out of Zimbabwe, something is gonna happen in Zimbabwe, and we've seen past, soon past those dates, and they'll be telling you that they've had this information, and all of this is not coming into life. So those people, we are not them. They are doing that for views, or they are doing that to clickbait you, or they're doing that to give you some sort of a confirmation bias news that you want to hear, that Emerson Mnangagwa is gonna go out of Zimbabwe as soon as possible. But as for us though, we want to be honest with you. We want to tell you, like, this is what we are seeing, or this is what is going to happen, or this is what we believe is possibly. And if you must perhaps look for any channel on YouTube or on this platform that speaks uh based analysis on Zimbabwean issues, and especially political issues, I suggest, and I strongly suggest, that you visit this guy Taffy the Man, and I think he gives better analysis more than anyone. He doesn't have this type of fake news where he tells you that this is, we heard that this happened and this happened, because whatever that I must tell you here is that never make any mistake of assuming that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa's faction is on the losing side, or assuming that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa's faction cannot retaliate and cannot use force, or cannot actually, cannot, what is this, it's in a state of stalemate. Never make that assumption. And also never make it like, also never make an assumption thinking that Chiwenga is on top of things, is on top of the game, or something of that particular sort. At best, it's best to assume that these people are on an equal playing field. I mean, that would give you much more, much more, it's much more true to think of it in that way, thinking that this one is more advantage. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed in this type of issues that are happening. You'll be disappointed when they're telling you all of this. Hey, Gezazo Daiso, Gezazo Daiso, Gezazo Daiso, Gezazo Daiso. Because when you're trying to look at it, here's the thing. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa was able to arrest this journalist, and I retaliate the issue. He was able to arrest this journalist, and is able to remove and reappoint people and throw in them as they wish. And we haven't seen any strategic power move from perhaps General Chiwenga. And one could assume that Chiwenga is playing the silent game, or is playing some intelligent game, but I think Chiwenga kind of like needs to convince the public that he has the power to do something. He, so far, Geza has been working quite well, but I think people, they need to see much more action, because they're not gonna buy the Geza thing for quite a long time, or for a long time. However, what he has done though in ZANU PF and outside ZANU PF, nyaya yaGeza yakukonzeresa kuti muZimbabwe vanhu vatanga nyaya dzepolitics on a scale like never before. People to start actually, not like on a scale like never before. I mean, in 2002 it was happening, but it's kind of like starting to gain that type of momentum. A momentum that would perhaps one day actually bring people into the streets in their numbers. Remember, again, like I retaliated, a revolution is not planned. A march protest is not planned. Look at Sri Lanka in 2022. When people stormed the presidential palaces because of shortage of fuel, lack of local currency, stuff like that, all those things that we're facing in Zimbabwe. When people in Sri Lanka in 2022 stormed the presidential palace, that thing was not planned. It was a thing that just sparked in the society. So basically, that's how revolutions happen. With the Geza issue and what we have said in the beginning of the video, with the Geza issue planning and telling you that the signal is on this particular day, I will retaliate. It's probably because Geza is trying to confuse the enemy, to show them what is, or to see how the enemy is gonna act. You do not tell your enemy where you are going to strike and when you are going to strike and what you are striking with. You do not tell them all those details. At best, you want to catch them with an element of surprise. And I particularly think so that is why it's happening, or that has been happening to Zimbabwe. Now, some of you have been here watching this channel and some of you have supported this channel, and I'm asking any person that is new to this channel to perhaps show the similar support to this channel. Basically, you can like, share, and perhaps subscribe to this channel. And this channel is kind of like my way of actually entering the Zimbabwean revolution, perhaps just keeping up with the crowd there and posting the content that is pro Zimbabwe, that is pro the people of Zimbabwe, and is anti ZANU PF at any cost. Like, I don't know, that is my way of resistance through this channel, and that's the content that we kind of like been posting kind of here. We've posted also similar actions, like for example, we've posted things about Venancio Mondlane, Mozambique, the revolutions that were happening there or something of that particular. So we've posted kind of like those things. And on the issue of Mozambique here, if you want to see how revolutions happen, yeah, with Venancio Mondlane, yeah, you are telling them tomorrow we're gonna do this, or we're gonna do this, or we're gonna do this. But if you want to see how what caused the Mozambican crisis or the outrage in Mozambique, it was particularly caused when people were angry about the election results being rigged. And no one told the people to go to the streets, but people started showing their social frustration by going into the streets. And Venancio Mondlane became the leader or the main figure of it, and they started doing so. And which is something that Geza is seemingly gaining. And Chamisa supporters and people that are supporting Chamisa, please stay out of this conversation. Stay out of it. Otherwise, we will be tempted to actually tell you that Chamisa has been doing nothing for this quite amount of time. And yeah, that's it. He's been busy trying to use the gospel into his politics, or incorporate gospel into politics, of which believe that's just something that is quite lame. That is just lame. But yes, particularly, let me see this
legitimate government that has failed to govern. Even with all the education we have, we are still to be employed. I finished my degree 2016 at the University of Zimbabwe. I have never even gotten a job until this day. So there is nothing more to lose, because when I worked out in education here in Mavuku, at Mavuku High School, my hope was that I would alleviate my life and that of my family. But it's now. So with dead hopes, with dead ambition, we are equally dead.
The main reason which makes us do these drugs is, guys, is unemployment. You don't have things to do. Don't get stressed or get worried about a lot of things. I've been seated at home like 2 years now.
Well, we are totally opposed to the concept of
okay. I'm not a fan
because
of
it,
let's see.
Regarding issue ya
vanenge vachimatonga vachisimudzira vechidiki vachisimudzira chikomba pasi pasi nezvinubu vamunanga gwawoye.
Okay, thank you for the people that are subscribing to the channel. Anyways, that video that I just showed you just now is particularly the reason why a lot of people are kind of like upset. Not particularly the reason, but the fact that Mnangagwa thinks that he can do what Mugabe did and he can just step on people and perhaps nothing can happen to him. He can amend constitutions and he can throw us out. And with things as bad as they are, Mnangagwa thinks that he can just get away with it. So that's what angers a lot of people, and that's what makes a lot of people seem more sympathetic towards Geza's utterances against Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Now, let's say that Geza's revolution was not successful, but the Mnangagwa regime going forward and perhaps going to 2028, there is one thing that will always be on top of their heads, and perhaps one of the massive tasks that they have to do is to completely eliminate any elements in ZANU-PF that would even remotely think to be anti-Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa or anti-ED Mnangagwa, because these elements or the seeds of anti-Mnangagwa or the seeds of anti-2030 have been grown in all, they've been sowed, and they will grow as time goes by. And what happens is that these people will be working together, coordinating, and perhaps maybe supporting the opposition in leading up maybe to 2028 elections, supporting each other to make sure that Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa now no longer have the Chamisas as the opposition, but you have some people within ZANU-PF as opposition, and some people that left ZANU-PF as opposition, and the rest of Zimbabwe is part of the opposition. And like I said before, this has led to conversations in communities about leadership change or regime changes, and particularly that could be enough fuel to spark an actual revolution in Zimbabwe. And by the way though, ZANU-PF is not a revolutionary party. In fact, none of the African countries have ever achieved a revolution in a sense of revolution, especially those that got independence. Here's the thing: it's not a revolution if power was signed by pen and paper and it was given to you like it was some sort of a negotiation. A revolution requires that like there's a total, complete political isolation and overthrow of that particular government. Mdaravati Geza data ayo Gezazo Zimbabwe, and you people and Sindokonda Piri, Sandy Konda Piri. What you guys don't understand is this: Geza is not going to be consistent with this word. If he was really part of the intelligence during the army, he's not going to be consistent with his word. One is gonna tell you this thing today, and perhaps is gonna postpone it, and it's gonna come there and there. And this could be a strategy to kind of see how the Mnangagwa, or to always keep the Mnangagwa regime always guessing in this particular type of issues. But please guys, I mean, just subscribe in your numbers to this channel. It's again, subscribing to this channel is equal to participating in a revolution against what is this, Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. All you have to do is to click that subscribe button and you are participating in an anti-ED Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. What I've said, that's all for tonight, and that's all that we have to express on this channel. Passing Geza, passing no, not passing Geza. For now, Pamberi Geza. Now passing ED, passing ZANU-PF, and pass with everyone that is hate innocent Zimbabweans, pass with everyone that has been for years looting and stealing from innocent Zimbabweans, and particularly us vana vevu vanhu acho anatema tisu tiri kutsikirirwa tiri kudzvanyirirwa nemumwe munhu mutema. So the cause for a revolution, the seeds of a revolution have been sowed, and particularly thanks to Geza's efforts. The people that are watching, again, please consider subscribing to this channel as your fight against the ED Dambudzo Mnangagwa regime. Oh, here's one thing that I would just say: unless you are Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa's unless you are a pro ED, subscribe to this channel. Thank you. We'll speak again tomorrow, and tomorrow no, I will be appearing actual live now.